Hello there. It is I once again, Jordan, aka Defcos, Hunter fanboy extraordinaire. And yeah, so I've been churning out the videos kind of frequently over the past week or so. I've made like 3 videos. Oh, this is gonna be my third, I think. So yeah, a little picking up the pace a little bit. It would be nice if I got some views. I get a few views and a few comments, which is nice. But yeah, it'd be nice if that could continue and grow. So that's what we're gonna try to do by making more videos. Um, so as I said, I am a Hunter x Hunter fanboy extraordinaire. Usually, I'm a One Piece fanboy extraordinaire, and I'm a fanboy extraordinaire of various other manga. But today, we are a Hunter x Hunter fanboy extraordinaire, and we're gonna be reviewing Hunter x Hunter Volume 6, which I just read. Um, yeah. So it was a fun one. It was a fun one. It's a pretty important volume because it's when we first find out about Nen, which is a big deal in Hunter x Hunter. And we'll just jump right into it. We also, right off the bat, get introduced to two really cool characters. We're still at the Heavens Arena, and we get introduced to two really cool characters. We get introduced to Zushi, who is this character here, and we get introduced to Wing, which is this character here. And they play pretty big roles in this volume, Wing more so than Zushi, I would say, at least in this volume. But I remember really liking Zushi from when I read Hunter x Hunter back in the day, because right now I'm rereading it, or at least I'm rereading the beginning. Um, and I remember really liking the character of Zushi, and he is pretty cool. He does some cool stuff in this volume, but I forget what else he does. I guess I'll find out when I read on. But we're still at the Heavens Arena, and we're Gon and Killua are climbing. You know, they're winning matches, and they're climbing the floors. They're getting higher and higher in the tower. Um, oh yeah, one of the first matches we get in this volume is actually Killua versus Zushi, and Killua is stronger than Zushi. Um, but every time he hits him, Zushi gets back up. Um, and Killua's been doing this one attack for all his fights, and Gon has been doing this one attack for all his fights too. Killua does like a neck chop on the back of the neck, and Gon just does like a palm thrust where he pushes the opponent out of the ring. And so Killua does the neck chop on Zushi. You can see right here. But Zushi just like stumbles a little bit and then gets back up. And Killua is like, what the hell is going on? Like, why is he getting back up? Like, that doesn't make sense. And then we get this moment here where after Killua hits Zushi again and he gets back up, Zushi goes into this stance right here. He goes into this stance, and Killua gets scared and backs off. And then Wing, who is Zushi's master, yells, "Zushi!" And apparently, what Zushi was doing was using a technique called Ren. And I guess Ren is like a subdivision of Nen. Like, I guess Nen is like the umbrella term for, I think it's Ren, Ten, Zetsu and Hatsu, I think, or something like that. Um, but they're different techniques that you can use, and we find out about them in this volume. Um, so yeah, so um, Killua and Gon climb up the floors, and then they get to, what is it, the 100th floor, and if you get to the 100th floor, you get your own room in the tower. So they have their own room now. Um, oh yeah, and they're starting to discover what Nen is. They're like, wait, what's going on here? There's something like below the surface that we don't fully grasp. And Killua is like, yeah, my brother uses Nen, I'm pretty sure, but he doesn't really understand what it is yet. So basically, they ask Wing to explain it to them, and the first time Wing explains it to them, he actually gives them false information. He like gives them a whole like explanation, but it's actually not exactly the truth. Um, and I think it's because he doesn't really consider Gon and Killua to be his students yet. Um, so after he does this whole explanation, um, I think there's a scene where Zushi is like, "Why did you lie to them?" Um, oh yeah, yeah. We flash forward and then we flash back a little bit, and we get the end of the Killua and Zushi fight, where Killua just uppercuts Zushi and sends him flying outside the ring. But he still gets back up. He still gets back up. Yeah, yeah. Here's the scene where Zushi is saying to Wing, like, why did you not tell them the right information? Did you fool them because they're not your pupils? And then Wing says, I spoke the truth. Nen is a genuine and important discipline in training the mind for Nen. But you're right, I teach Nen only to my pupils. Others who ask get a lesson suitable for anyone. It's too easily misused. And then he shows that when you use Nen, he can turn a piece of paper into like a blade, and he slices a can of juice. And then we get this scene where Gon and Killua ascend to, I guess it's the 200th floor. Um, yeah, I think they're on the 200th floor. And they show up at this hallway, and they're like, they feel this energy coming from the hallway, and they're like, what the hell is going on? And then Killua says, stop lurking, show yourself. And then we see one of the judges, or one of the ladies who works for the tower, the Heaven's Gate. And they're like, wait a second, is the energy coming from her? And then right behind her, it's none other than Hisoka. Hisoka shows up again. And this is the first time we've seen him since the Hunter exam. And he pretty much tells Gon and Killua, okay, you two have to leave because you're not ready for this floor yet. Meaning that they haven't learned Nen yet, so they can't uh, they can't penetrate his aura, or his, like, I think they call it the invisible wall, like the energy force that is blocking the way. They can't move forward because they have no control over Nen. So Hisoka tells them to leave, and when they and I guess to not come back until they learn Nen. The only problem with that is that um, they only have until midnight to do that, because after midnight the registrations for the 200th floor close, and if they miss the registration, Gon has to start from the beginning. He has to go back to the first floor, and Killua gets banned pretty much because he had already, I think he already made it to the 200th floor previously, so he can't do it a sec. I guess if he doesn't register for some reason, he can't proceed. He gets banned. Um, oh, because he made it. He made it to the 200th floor and before, and he didn't register that time. So if he doesn't register a second time, he gets banned. So then Wing shows up again, and he tells them, "Okay, this time I'm gonna actually teach you about Nen. I'm not gonna lie to you." And he starts explaining everything to them. And he does this demonstration where he uses it to crack the wall. This is a pretty iconic scene, in my opinion. I remembered this scene from way back in the day when he uses Nen to crack the wall. And then you see Hisoka just throwing cards at the wall. Oh yeah, so they only have a few hours to learn, pretty much. Oh yeah, and then we get this scene where Wing kind of unlocks their hidden potential, kind of like in Dragon Ball, where he puts his hand on their backs and just like releases their like chakra, kind of like I think they call it nodes. But it reminded me of Dragon Ball when they're on Namek, and the Namek, like the Elder Namek, releases Krillin and Gohan's potential just by putting his hand on their head. It reminded me of that. This is that scene right here. He like awakens their ability, but then they have Nen like gushing out of them, and they have to learn to control it so that they don't just deplete their energy completely. And they learn to do it immediately, which Wing is like, oh shit, like they did that really quickly. Because Gon and Killua are like, they're really powerful. So then they head back to the hallway where Hisoka is, and they've mastered. Well, they haven't mastered Nen, but they've learned enough of it to be able to penetrate Hisoka's like wall that he put up, his like energy wall. And then Hisoka's like, "Oh, okay, you guys made progress," and then he goes away. And then we see these three characters here. These guys. Um, oh yeah, so then Gon registers for a fight. And he ends up fighting this dude. His name is Guido. It's this guy. Him. His name is Guido. And he uses like tops to fight, like these tops that are like, enveloped in like Nen, that like that like swirl around the arena. and the attack gone from every direction. I think Gon is using 10. But I think from what I understand, 10 is like a defensive ability. Um, and I guess he's using it to not get completely obliterated by the tops. Um, and then he rushes Guido, but then Guido starts spinning like he's a giant top. And then Gon actually turns off his 10 so that he can focus more on the trajectory of all the tops that are like swirling around everywhere. And everybody's like, "Oh shit! Like, what are you doing? Like, if you get hit, you're gonna get killed." And Gon is just like focusing on the tops so that he can dodge them. And then we cut to the next scene where Gon has a hand in a cast. I think this is the second time he broke his arm since the beginning of this of the series. Um, if I'm not mistaken, he has like broken bones pretty much because he turned off his 10. Oh yeah, and then we get this scene here where Wing just slaps Gon for being reckless. Then he ties a piece of string to his pinky because he makes a promise to Wing. Wing says, Killua actually lies to Wing and says, the doctor said, because it should take him 4 months to recover from his energy, from his injuries. Gon should take 4 months to recover from his injuries. Killua tells Wing, um, okay, the doctor said it'll take him 2 months to recover from his injuries. And then Wing says, okay, well then you can't fight for 2 months, and you can't practice. You can't train. You can't train and you can't study for the next 2 months. You can only rest and recover. And then he ties a string to his pinky to remind him of his promise. And then we get the end of the Guido versus Gon fight, where he takes the top to his arm, which breaks his arm. So I guess Guido wins that fight. Gon doesn't win it. Oh, and then we get this quick scene where we cut to Kurapika. I guess he's in York, New City. He's somewhere, and he's meeting with this lady who tells him, "Oh, can you see the like apparition to my right?" And Killua can't see it, and she's like, "Oh, you can't, then you can't come back until you see it," which is basically indicating that Killua has to. I mean, Kurapika has to learn Nen too, so he hasn't learned it yet either. Or I guess he hasn't learned it yet. Gon and Killua have started to learn it. Oh yeah, and then Gon actually recovers in 1 month's time. He recovers from his injuries. So the doctor said it would take 4 months. Killua told Wing it would take 2 months, but he actually recovers in 1 month because Gon is built different. And then Killua says, "Oh yeah, I got these 2 tickets to go see Hisoka's fight because Hisoka has a fight coming up versus this dude named Castro." Um, So yeah, so Gon can't go to the fight because Gon promised that he wouldn't study or train for the next 2 months. It's been 1 month, so for the next month he can't study or train. But Killua didn't make that promise, so Killua goes to see the fight because Wing says if you are to go and watch Hisoka's fight, that counts as studying and training, so you can't do it. And this is the Castro guy that Hisoka's gonna fight. Yeah, so we get the fight versus Hisoka and Castro, and the art gets really sketchy at this point, like literally sketchy. Um, you can tell that he was kind of not really applying himself. Because Yoshihiro Tagashi is a great artist, like, dude is super talented. But for this particular sequence, he was really kind of phoning it in a little bit. Not all the time, but some of the drawings are little loose. Yeah, so Castro does this technique where he rips off Hisoka's arm. And then Hisoka realizes that Castro's ability is that he can make a double of himself, like a clone. Yeah, this part is messed up. Hisoka starts eating the arm that Castro ripped off. He starts just like eating it because Hisoka is crazy. And Hisoka starts doing like magic tricks with the cards and his arm. He pulls a card out of his, it's like the stump of his arm. Then Castro takes his other arm, but then the first arm that he severed, gets put back together somehow. But Hisoka just overtakes Castro in the end. He hits him with his severed arm, which is kind of cool, right here. And then he just finishes him off with like the flying cards. And that's it. That's the end of Hunter x Hunter Volume 6. So yeah, so that was cool. I love Hunter x Hunter. I'm in a real Hunter x Hunter mood nowadays. Like I really want to catch up. I want to reread everything I've read and then continue on past where I left off and catch up to the current manga. Even though then I'll have to wait for releases, and the releases are so erratic, who knows when I'll get that. But I still have a long way to go, so I don't have to worry about that too much. But I love Hunter x Hunter. I'm going to keep reading it. Hopefully, you will join me on this journey. Yeah, so if you indeed watched me talk about Hunter x Hunter for over 20 minutes, thank you very much, and I will see you in the very near future. Have a good one.